And here we are for another episode of Town Square Talk. Our core purpose is to make a difference with women entrepreneurs and professionals by bringing to light concerns, resources, tips that will help women move forward, especially during the coronavirus period of time where we are all creating a new normal. I am an author, a speaker, and a business coach, and my co host is Pearl.
Thank you, Pat, and welcome everyone to another episode of How to Do Self Care Easily. And today we're so excited to have this really cool and prestigious guest to join us. So, allow me to first introduce myself really quickly. Like Pat said, I'm the co host of Town Square Talk, and I'm a CXO advisor and strategist. And here we are with another episode with Dr. Dharam Singh. And Dr. Dharam Singh Deutsch, Ph.D. and licensed acupuncturist, is a Qigong master and a doctor of Oriental medicine. And Pat, feel free to make Dr. Dharam appear, pinging his video when you get a chance. He's also a herbologist and licensed acupuncturist. He's attained the renowned title of Qigong Master and is a highly regarded specialist in the field of holistic healing. Dr. Dharam's unique and proven synergistic blend of Eastern and Western healing modality go beyond the treatment of surface symptoms by addressing the patient's fundamental well-being holistically. And as no two patients are alike, while each changing over time, Dr. Singh is well known for amazing results in engaging his patients, treating the root causes of their ailments with respect of individuality and integrity. And for over 2 decades, Dr. Dharam, sometimes known as Dr. Singh, has served as a consultant trainer and a lecturer on meditation, relaxation, and stress release techniques for hospitals, private industry, and film studios. Dr. Singh, Dr. Dharam, founded the Shinbushikan Academy, which serves to train both youths and adults in meditation, yoga, Qigong, and martial arts techniques as a way of reducing stress, enhancing self-awareness, and strengthening the mind-body connection. His accomplishments and manifested energetic capabilities firmly established him as a Qigong master healer very quickly among those with whom he has studied. He was also honored with a spiritual name as Dharam Singh, meaning the lion who fearlessly walks the path of spirituality. Welcome, Dr. Singh. How are
Welcome.
you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for that welcome, and thanks for having me on the show. It's really an honor to be here with you guys.
Well, we are delighted that you're here and you're going to spend the next hour. We're just really sharing so much from what you have grown to really have a passion for. And, we just want to start with a moment of gratitude and just bring that positive energy into this space. And so, Dr. Dharma, what are you most grateful for?
Well, my short list is my dog, my family, my friends, my teachers, and the teachings.
Mhm. Wonderful. How about you, Pearl?
Oh, gee whiz. What am I grateful for? Every day there's something that just pops in my mind. And in right now, this moment is the sharing of the moment with you all and as well as our audience and being able to communicate and create a space to sort of, mastermind and talk about self-care. So that's really
Yes.
what I'm so grateful for. Yourself, Pat?
And that's one of my favorite topics. So I'm grateful for the fact that Texas is experiencing some amazing weather. We had a 70-degree day today. And
Mm.
just to be able to go out and walk in nature and just, smell nature and the trees and enjoy the sun on my face is really, really special for today. considering
Yeah.
we had a very serious, deadly winter storm for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, so unprecedented, wasn't it?
I'm glad you guys are at 70 degrees. It was getting cold there for a while.
Yeah, way too cold. We had very unusual weather that many of us were not ready to handle. And so we've learned a lot of lessons. And right now we're just enjoying the fact that we're recovering from that space and some really good weather.
Nice.
And, as we talk about self-care, this is a passion of all of us. We really study self-care and we embrace it and we bring it into our lives. And what I'd like to start with, Dr. Dharma, is really just an understanding of what self-care is and why is it important?
Yeah. Well, everybody has an option of how they want to feel because you have your body, but then what the habits and patterns that you adapt determines how you feel. So if you imagine like an old 57 Chevy that's rusted out on the lawn, right? And then you imagine a 57 Chevy that's in pristine condition in somebody's collection. It's the same car. One's been taken care of, one hasn't been taken care of. So if you take care of yourself, then you can enjoy that pristine condition of whatever the car is, versus feeling like you're a rusted out 57 Chevy on the lawn, if that visual helps.
It does. It does because so many times we think of self-care as being very external. It's about, the manicure and the pedicure, but really it's a lot of it's internal work. It's how our body feels and our attitude, our mind, and how we feed our spirits. And I believe we're going to be touching each of those areas separately as we enjoy our conversation for the next hour. So, with that, Pearl, I believe that you have a question for Dr. Dharma.
Well, that's the thing about self-care is, it seems to be obvious why it's important, right?
Hmm.
And the thing that comes to mind right now is really on um, what are the sort of common symptoms, if you will, doctor, since you see and treat so many patients,
Sure.
that you see in the self-care area where people probably either is lack of or somehow isn't doing it quite right. So what are those, if you can please share with us?
Absolutely. So the most common symptoms are going to be insomnia,
Hmm.
fatigue, depression, anger,
Mm.
and then digestive issues. It just goes on from there.
Yeah, there's so many symptoms and sometimes even headaches or, so
Absolutely.
like sluggish and all these other stuff too.
Mhm.
And even though it seems like we're, we're kind of doing the right thing, but somehow, it's just not quite working. So
Yeah,
is that what you're seeing too, that patients come to you and just kind of at their wits' end sometimes, I'm doing all the right things.
sometimes, yeah, exactly. Sometimes people are overdoing it. Type A
Hmm.
personality, they're doing everything for business. They're on the phone all the time, on the computer all the time. They're going to therapy, going to the gym with the personal trainer, whatever you can imagine, but then it's too much. And what happens is people get into what's called sympathetic dominance, which basically means your nervous system's broken down into parasympathetic and sympathetic.
Hmm.
Mm,
Yeah, so sympathetic is fight or flight. And what happens is your adrenals kick in, you're producing adrenaline, all the blood rushes to the extremities so that you can run or fight.
mm,
As that happens, you're not digesting your food because the body's in survival mode. If you stay in that long enough, you don't replenish your hormones. So parasympathetic is rest and digest. It's when you meditate, when you sleep.
Hmm.
And then instead of the blood, everything going to the extremities, it goes to the inside.
Yes.
Yes, you can digest your food, you can get the nutrients. When you sleep, you can reproduce the hormones that you need. et cetera, et cetera. The body can stay moist and young rather than, the fire consuming it and it drying up.
Mm.
And I think sometimes we get so used to being in that fight or flight that we're not aware that we're living each day in that normal, right? That becomes um, I guess I would say, yeah, a set point or a normal for people. Would you, dive in with us on what a normal can be for people without even them realizing that it's really not a healthy normal?
Yeah, exactly. We're in a society that's very different, and
Mhm.
it doesn't feel like humans have adapted to all the changes.
Mm.
We used to live in a society where you had a day off
Yeah.
and you had maybe one provider and you had home cooked meals and you would come home and have dinner with your family and all that stuff. So the parasympathetic or the relaxation response is just built into the lifestyle. So the set point, yeah, definitely is sort of extreme stress.
Mm.
I'm just going to adjust this view while
Okay.
we're talking. Go back to gallery so I can see all you guys. And for some reason, the computer just switched it. Yeah, so you have to decide in this day and age what your set point is, what your center point is, so that you can constantly bring it back if life pulls you in different directions. Yeah, it's an
And
important decision. Sorry, go ahead.
and really, and it starts with being aware, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And the more that you have that awareness, you can see not only other people, but you can see yourself, which is the most important thing. So that awareness and that space, through some of the things we're going to talk about, like meditation, I believe meditation is the antidote to the society that we live in.
Why so?
Because again, we're living in this society that even frequency wise, just you walk outside, you don't even have to walk outside. You're all the EMFs and the radio waves and people's cell phone conversations, it's all moving through your body. You're just light particles. So you're constantly bombarded with information that you know of consciously or unconsciously. And the meditation allows you to say, hey, wait a minute, I'm actually not that. I'm this frequency. And then that allows you to be more peaceful in life.
You know, meditation has so many benefits, and um, people would just start there, right? They would start
Yeah,
seeing a difference in their own level of energy, because at the end of the day, all that's all we are, right? We are energy, doctor.
exactly. And meditation's not woo anymore. It's scientifically
Hmm.
researched and studied and proven.
And it's interesting that you mentioned frequency, which we have come to hear so much these days,
Yes.
right? It's about energy and it's about the sort of um, the frequency, the vibrations that we all have. We have it internally as well as around us and so on. So,
Exactly.
would you kind of speak to that a bit about energy and how
Yeah.
that is relevant to self care?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go to the beach or you go to the mountains, then the ions are different and the frequency is different and you feel better. Or if you're around somebody that's really positive and has good energy, then you feel better.
Hmm.
Mm.
Hmm.
If you go somewhere where it's very congested and there's a lot going on, you're not going to have that same feeling that you have in nature. And if you're around somebody who's toxic or angry, they have a low frequency, at least in that moment, that's going to affect you because, again, we're just light particles and they're constantly interacting.
Hmm.
So you get to decide what frequency that you want to be based on your habits, your patterns, breath, your diet, your sleep, all sorts of things. But it's a conscious choice, and it's a discipline. If you don't do anything, then you can just flow. Like if water is just left to flow, it can flow into the gutter. So flow is important, but structured flow yields more of the results you're looking for.
Mhm. So when I think about that, when I think about structured flow, I think that I think about the fact that we have the option to either respond to life, which I think is in flow. That's the way I see it, in flow versus react. What is your take on
Absolutely.
that?
We definitely want to respond rather than react.
Hmm.
And then, again, the meditation gives you that ability, that superpower almost, if you will. We all know when we're stressed out, we're less likely to respond than react. So it's so nice to have that space, to even have that conversation. Oh, and that witnessing experience. This is what's going on. And I'm feeling anger arising. Now, I've got options. I can indulge the anger, or I can try the high road. And then the more you try the high road, then it just becomes, again, a pattern and a habit. It just becomes easier and easier, like a bicep curl. If you don't do anything, then it atrophies, the muscle atrophies. If you exercise it, it gets stronger and stronger.
Hmm. I like that. And one of the things that I have found when I find myself in a funk, because I'm very conscious about my energy and conscious about the energy around me,
Yeah.
is that one of the tools that's really worked for me to just kind of get me back centered and in a better mood is to be in a state of gratitude.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because your mind is doing what it's doing anyways. And sometimes it's like a, dog and pony show. But if you focus it on gratitude, you're going to change the chemical, um, what chemicals you're creating in your body, what hormones. You're going to change the way that you feel, change the way that people respond to you. Gratitude's like the big secret of how to feel good.
Love it.
Yeah, it's interesting that we started with gratitude, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
that's really is sort of helping us center back to what we actually have versus what we're so upset about or whatever we started to kind of lose our balance or um, and whatnot. So, yet there's also this non-attachment
Mhm.
that I often heard because we want to be happy all the time. It's like we want it to be attached to be that that sensation and the being. So we at times don't even take time and make the space to process the sort of the undesirable, right? The grief,
Mhm.
unfortunately, and
Mhm.
the sad news or what have you, because there's just so much distraction that we can easily replace, that emotions with whatever it is that makes us feel good. Because going back to the attachment, we just want to grasp and keep doing what makes us feel good. Do you consider that as a good self-care, though? If folks kind of have the pattern of doing that?
Yeah. Well, I'm hearing you talk about a few different things.
Mm.
So one of them is essentially addictive behavior, and a pitfall in meditation, because you can start meditating a lot and be very blissed out. And then you go, oh, yeah, I'm such a good meditator and I'm blissed out. And then something happens, right? And you're not. And then you're in a funk, and then you beat yourself up because you're not blissed out like you were for the past 2 weeks. And you get addicted to the bliss.
Mm.
So the non-attachment is just a wonderful tool regarding the bliss, and then also regarding the sadness, the grief, the stress, whatever it is. It gives you that space to experience it, because sadness and grief can also be beautiful if you
Mhm. Mhm.
give it the space and you are able to be with it. And then again, not attached to it and get stuck there. So, and then the other part of the addictive behavior is like what you're saying is constantly stimulating
Mhm.
to get the gratification. And that's the addiction to the phone and the dopamine response. And that's why people all day long, right? So I think probably a good habit nowadays is to put the phone down and also be aware, like if you're reaching for the phone because you want a dopamine response.
Mm. You know, I don't think people are aware of that. That they are
Yeah.
that they are, and that's a something becomes a subconscious behavior of just, let me see who's texted me, who's responded, what's the next email. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think as time goes on and we spend a little bit more time in this new electronic, well, whatever it's called, this new era, now they're coming up with flying cars. I don't know if you heard about that.
Oh, yeah.
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 So, yeah, I think the more that we spend time with it, the more we're going to be aware of, these things are, invading spaces of our life that maybe they shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like you said, it's totally about awareness, and with the practice of gratitude, I know that you have shared with us your sort of modality of really well balanced self-care. So gratitude totally is a very good starting point and anchoring point. And would you take us through the sort of the model that you recommend us to practice?
Yeah. Just one more quick thing about gratitude.
Hmm.
Have you ever noticed you get something new and you really like it, and then you're done with it? It's not, it doesn't give you that same satisfaction, right?
Right.
And the brain's designed to look for things that are wrong because it's designed to survive. So, back in dinosaur times, you had to find out what was wrong so you could survive and not get eaten. And it still kind of does that. So what we're talking about too is changing the brain so that it's not always looking for something wrong, it's looking for the right things. And focusing on the gratitude helps with that.
Absolutely.
And so if going back to the point about getting something new, if you know that eventually it's not going to be as exciting, but you refresh it all the time in your mind. Oh, I love, you get a new computer, right? I just love this new computer. You just stay in that childlike nature, the awe and the wonder of whatever it is, rather than becoming numb to it.
It's a newness in a way, right?
Yeah, but staying in the newness, like a dog. You feed a dog every morning. It's like he's never been fed before. He's so happy, right? You go away for an hour, you go away for 3 minutes, you come back. It's like you were gone for 10 days.
Yeah.
That
That's true.
childlike nature and that wonder, if you can develop it in a healthy way, is another way to enjoy life.
Totally. There's so much more to talk about when you talk about gratitude. It's really how you practice it and how you make you truly have that physiology or the physical sensations. It's not just that you say you're grateful for something, but you actually have that engagement of, the butterfly in the stomach and, the actual, sensation that you're really, really grateful for. So it's really also about marrying that thought, right? And really engage the energy, and even thinking about connecting with whoever or the place or whatever you are grateful for. So it's the whole energy practice itself. And
Really good point.
Meditation, right? And meditation is also a part of that to kind of help with that experiencing of the gratification.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a really good point that you made, that to make sure that it's not at a surface level, because you could be like, yeah, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. Yeah, it's just mental. So you do want to feel it and really make it true for yourself.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I know that gratitude is part of one of your modalities. So that if we could go back to your modality and just tell us a little bit more about that.
Gratitude, or are we going into all 9?
We're going
yes.
into the all 9.
Okay.
We want to know. Wouldn't you,
Yeah.
audience? Type in the chat.
Honor
if you'd
us,
like to
please.
know.
You guys are honoring me, just having me on, and I appreciate it. So here we go. Breath is another great, a great tool to allow yourself to feel good. And yeah,
Breathe.
exactly. And when you're stressed out, you're not breathing well.
Mhm.
That's just the way that it is.
Sure.
So if you can regulate your breathing, you can regulate your mood. It's just really simple. You can also detoxify yourself, create energy, calm yourself down. There's a number of different breaths, and in yoga, that's called pranayama, which so many different things you can do. If you, I'm sure you're familiar with Wim Hof, right?
Yes.
Yes, the Hoffers. Yeah.
So look what he's doing with breath,
Mm.
submerging himself in ice, all that good stuff. Not that that's what people need to do, but it feels great, apparently. The next one is sleep.
Mhm.
So, we all need healthy sleep. And then diet, that's a biggie. Diet, herbs, supplements. You are what you eat. So you want to eat,
Mhm.
food that's alive. So primarily plant-based diet goes a long
Sure.
way. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then the herbs and the supplements, especially as we age, we want to create a little balance in the body. Sometimes there's too much fire. Sometimes there's too much moisture. So with herbs, we can get that balance just right. Cardio, really important, good for the heart, good for the brain, good for the mood, absolutely essential. I think it was Duke University that did a study, and the effect on the mood with cardiovascular exercise is greater than Zoloft.
Yep. I can attest to that. For
Mhm.
sure. That's when you have a really good workout, you go out walking and it's a really, fast walk and you just really work out the muscles. If I do, I can tell you I can sleep better. You
Yeah.
mentioned something that I want to go back to. You talked about some elements.
Mhm.
You may have too much fire or too much water. So tell us a little bit about the those elements that you're referring to.
Okay. um, I'm just laughing because I'm not sure that it's going to translate to the layperson, but let's make it translate. So you have the liver, which is an organ in the body. And in Chinese medicine, the liver organ represents the free flow of qi.
Energy, right?
Yeah, the free flow of energy, qi, life force. And it also is responsible for anger.
Mm,
Because if that energy starts to get backed up, then a person can get angry. You can think of it like fire being, pushed closer and closer together, and then there's combustion, right?
yes.
And that's when you get the headache sometimes, because that energy, that fire can rise up. And so the side of the head is a liver fire rising headache. Because probably you mentioned headaches, and there's all different types of headaches, right?
Right.
There's the frontal headache, and
It's
that's a sign of,
migraine. Yep.
Yeah,
yeah,
or the side or one side of your face. Yeah, I never really thought about it as it related to the organs and the
yeah,
fire.
yeah. No, it's very interesting. So the kidney is water, and that headache would be towards the back
Mm,
of the head. Um, Chinese medicine and acupuncture is, thousands of years figuring things out.
mhm.
So that's fire, and then water. Um, the element for the liver actually is wood, but that's where it gets a little bit more complicated. We're going to leave that alone. Um, water is another element, and sometimes the body gets too much water, and that can look like edema,
Mm.
Mm, mm,
or it can look like too much damp. Damp leads to phlegm. Um,
yeah.
these are Chinese medical terms, as benign as they sound. But if you get too much damp or phlegm, then it can obstruct the channels, let's say, that go to the brain, and you can have brain fog.
Mm.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So the spleen actually helps a lot with uh, keeping the channels clear of that of that damp. And it helps, the spleen helps with the use of the brain in terms of study. So, yeah. Another element that you have is, so we talked about the liver, we talked about the spleen, the kidney is water. The spleen and the stomach are actually earth.
Mm-hmm.
So let me give you another good example. Let's talk about dryness. I think that's relevant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Skin, hair.
right. Yeah. The skin, the hair, maybe even the intestines
Yeah. Yeah.
and other parts of the body. So, and that's where the herbs come in again by moistening
Mhm.
and also maybe by adjusting the hormones.
Mhm.
So, hot flashes is an example of too much fire and dryness.
Okay.
So you can see how they kind of interweave.
They go together. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
the
it
different
makes sense.
stages of life matters too, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, in the sort of reproductive organs can change quite drastically, during the menopause, for example, for women, and men has that too, which is, completely different, ways of transformation, if you will, right?
Yeah.
So the stages of life as well as the environment
Mhm.
where we live.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you want to know what herbs to take at what stage of life.
Mm.
So, and that's a good point too about the environment. But for instance, a younger person doesn't need to take Korean ginseng because it's too much fire.
Mm.
Good point. Yep.
And a person that already has too much damp shouldn't really take too many tonifying herbs because that'll create more damp eventually. They'll feel good for a while and then it'll stop working and they'll feel worse.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so you want to balance the herbs, and that's where herbal formulas come in, because you put different herbs in the formula to help the formula work. Let's say you're going to put tonifying herbs, but then you're going to put digestive herbs to stop the cloying, is what it's actually called. Create that to stop the damp from happening. Yeah, it's a whole world.
And it's a whole, and that's why we have people like you, doctor, that help us figure that out, right? So many people try to figure it out on their own, and they'll go into a store
Yeah,
and they'll just start, loading their cart with all different kinds of supplements that other people have told them to take without really actually sitting down with someone who can really have an in-depth conversation.
right. Or they'll read about something and then they'll go in and then they're taking nutraceuticals. Okay, so this brings up another topic. You have whole food supplements. Those are supplements made from food, right? It's natural. Your body knows what to do with it. Herbs, same thing, grows in the ground. Whole food supplements and herbs have enzymes, coenzymes, and unknown factors. There's a whole complete symphony. It's healthy and it works for your body as long as you're taking the right thing at the right time. Then you have nutraceuticals, which are chemicals, but they're vitamins, but they're chemicals. So calcium can be made from rocks, as an example. Yeah, so it's not necessarily the best thing. And then you've got pharmaceuticals, which are chemicals. Not even pretending to be vitamins, but that's different. And sometimes pharmaceuticals are, perfect in the right circumstance. So we're not bashing pharmaceuticals, but if we can stay on the whole food herbal side, the longevity is easier.
Yeah,
Easier.
typically it's prevention versus cure. So why get sick in the first place? So if we can, this is why self-care is just as important. Yet life can present to us, right, so many different situations that it's just not going to be ideal all the time. And we have a question from the audience. Rita Khan was asking how you would suggest, Dr. Dharam, to detox from the environmental pollutants. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, really good question. So we actually provide a 21-day purification that is amazing. Like people go on it, they feel the best they've ever felt. It's really good. I use it for pregnancy, for fertility, before a fertility program, people that can't get pregnant and then they get pregnant. I had a patient who had lupus, put her on the cleanse with a custom herbal formula. All the lupus symptoms went away. Diabetes reversed. I mean, it's really an amazing cleanse. So that's a good thing to do once a year, twice a year. And, again, you feel amazing.
Depending on your
Now, doctor,
requirements.
when you talked about a detox, I'm interested in that for sure. Is there a certain time of the year where it's just really just the perfect time to go through a detox?
Spring cleaning.
Like we're entering that phase right now, aren't we?
Yep, spring cleaning. And then it's also nice to do it before January or right at the beginning of January, start the year off, right? Yeah.
Wow. So we've talked about the importance of cardio and movement and working with weights, but there's also other kinds of movement that are really helpful for us, like Qigong.
Absolutely. So Qigong is the cultivation of life force energy for those of us who aren't familiar with it. And life force energy it's called Qi in China. It's called Ki in Japan and Korea. It's called the breath of life in the Bible. Everybody knows about life force energy. And even people who don't think they know about it because sometimes you feel like you have more energy and sometimes you feel like you have less. If you look at a baby's very supple. It can fall on its butt. Nothing breaks. It's filled with life force energy. An older person can fall and break their hip. Less life force energy. So imagine if somebody said, hey, you can do these exercises and you can fill your body with life force energy. You'd want to do it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So that's Qigong. And there's all different kinds. And that's basically how that works. A little bit more about Qi in the body. Your heart pumps blood, and the blood moves through arteries and veins. Your nervous system conducts electrical impulses, through the nerves, right? So Qi runs through meridians. And meridians are channels of energy, just like veins or arteries or nerves, except it's moving life force energy. So when we were talking about the headaches or the channels being open, that's the Qigong. How that works is keeping those open. And sorry, going back to
No worries.
I can see everybody.
Do the gallery view. It's a Zoom thing.
Yeah, there we go. Thanks. Okay. So that's a little bit about Qigong.
And it's really also on stretching by itself, which Qigong contains as well. And Qigong itself is also a martial arts, really.
Martial arts, spiritual development. Yeah. Another important aspect of Qigong is going back to the frequency. Because you can hold thoughts or experiences in your body and your cells and your bones. But if you know with the Qigong how to clean your body, then you can clean out those thoughts and experiences. Yeah. So that's a pretty valuable tool to have.
Do you think that we can do a quick practice on the Qigong side?
Sure. So just
like that.
Yeah. So the first thing is, you can feel, I'm going to give you 2 exercises. One, so you can feel the Qi. So if you just hold your hands out in front and you close your eyes with the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth, and you're focusing on your dantian, which is like a power center. So
where's dantian, please, doctor?
It's 2 inches below your navel and 2 inches inside. And if you think about Iron Man, the movie, right? He has the power pack. So we all have power packs too. But the one we're going to focus on is the Dantian power pack, which is 2 inches below your navel again and 2 inches inside.
Mm.
So, and you want your hands, I'm holding them up high on the screen so you can see them, but you actually want them in front of that Dantian.
Mm. Gotcha.
Yeah. And you just hold your hands there for a minute and feel the sensation. After about a minute or so, then you're going to open the hands, but keep the fingers pointing towards each other, and then close the hands really slow. And this is called 5 dragons competing. These are the 5 dragons. And yeah, feel the energy between the hands as you open and close. The slower that you go in the beginning, the more you're going to feel the energy. And keep the breath relaxed and the feet on the floor, rooted into the earth. Yeah. So there you go. Did you feel that?
I feel the tingling sensations
Oh,
in my
definitely.
palms and also throughout my body. And as I relax more and more, I feel like my awareness around my body is kind of like just getting it.
Right. Did you feel like your nervous system just went, oh, okay.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Everything becomes a lot more prominent as I still just focusing on this. And I can feel the skin, my skin, all this other pieces, but the energy is there going in and out. I'm a Qigong person as well, by the way. I do teach Qigong.
Yeah. And you've got
So,
the very cool health broom, which is an amazing Qigong. So if anybody hasn't gotten that health broom yet, they should definitely contact Pro and get one of those.
and Dr. Dharam as well.
Thanks.
All right. And guess what? Let's see. We talked about in the other exercise, you say you're going to give us 2. Did we have
Right.
both already?
Yeah, I thought about it and then I thought, oh, I don't want to overwhelm you, but you got this one just the whole day.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is called holding the ball, and you can do that for 5 minutes. And then when you're done, put your hands together. For the ladies, it's left over right. For the men, it's right over left. And then you're going to rub that Dantian area 2 inches below the navel 36 times. And you're going to put the energy in that battery.
All right. It's very simple practices, but it can really do wonders, especially if you just allocate some 3 to 5 minutes of time.
Yeah. And then you can build up, 20 minutes is a nice, standing practice.
Nice.
But you don't need to start with that.
Right. So standing to practice is the recommended as much since we sit down all day, basically, right?
Yeah, and the chi can flow better. You can sit down and do it.
Yes. Yeah.
But you can also stand and do it, which
Gotcha.
A little bit more benefit.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Doctor, we did get a question, and it says, any links to share for reading about more deeper experiences?
More deeper experiences. You know who's really good about deeper experiences and has so much to offer right now is Dr. Joe Spinoza. So if you just Google him, and he's got meditations and all sorts of things.
How do you spell his name, his last name?
I'm going to guess Spinoza. It's probably wrong, but it's
Espinoza.
like
No, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Awesome. We'll put it on the link.
Yeah, I'll do that.
This as well. Post the recording so that folks can have access to it. So good question. Thanks for asking, Piyush. And Piyush was my ex-colleague. Oh, there you go. Thank you, Pat.
There we go. Dr. Joe Espinosa. So some of the other things that really add value and richness into our life and really are a self-care that we really don't think of, many times we don't think about self-cares, is really meaningful connections and relationships.
Mm.
Yeah.
Why don't you share? I invite you to share something about that.
Well, again, with that self-awareness comes the awareness of what's most important to you,
Mhm.
or the things that are important to you.
Mm.
Generally speaking, to be a healthy human being, you need relationship.
Yeah.
You need deep, meaningful relationship with yourself and others.
Mhm.
So it's almost as important as food. If you want to be healthy and you want to be happy, you need that love nourishment, and you need that the giving and the receiving and the connection.
Mhm.
Yeah. And we can all just see it in life, your own experience of being connected, and the richness that gives you. And if you want to make somebody crazy, then what do? You punish them, you put them in isolation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless they're on a private retreat in a cave or something, but that's different because they're still in relationship with themselves and the divine. So for most people, isolation is not such a great thing.
No, and a lot of people have been isolated during um, this pandemic, and
Lockdown. Yeah.
I'm sure that it's affected us all at a mind, body, and soul level.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the question then is, I want to do self-care. I want to be a healthy human being. How do I go about doing that? And then, noticing, wow, I'm getting kind of isolated. I better reach out.
Mhm.
So that's just where that awareness comes in. You call your friends, you call your family. Like my family, since COVID started, we have been doing a family Zoom meeting every week,
Mhm.
which is just fantastic to be able to spend time with each other, once a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever it is, you got to figure out how to get out there and make contacts and connections. And it's so easy. I mean, a little harder during COVID, but you can still, let's say non-COVID time, you can go to City College, you can take a dance class. There's always ways to get out there and interact with people.
Mhm.
Just having that awareness though, when you need to do it,
Mm.
Yes.
is kind of important for people that maybe neglect that area of their life.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you hit it right on. In terms of really getting to know yourself, first and foremost, what do you truly need? Is this needs really what you want or what you were expected
Yeah.
to do?
Yeah.
So yeah, those all requiring some reflection and taking time and space and quiet down, slow down. So all the modality totally makes sense coming together.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think with the relationships and the friendships also comes the importance of touching.
Absolutely.
Yeah, really important. Good point.
The magic of hugs.
Yeah.
And I wanted to also call out that with Qigong, you have, self massage and self touching as well. So
Yes.
even when you don't have
Yes.
anyone with you, or, hugging yourself and just really touching yourself and even closing your eyes and, having all that can totally bring out your dopamine and get your body going and a good juice going as well. So,
Absolutely. And and the rubbing and moving
yes.
blood to the surface of the skin.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tapping, and again,
Just
that's where the
yeah,
room
there's
comes.
tapping exercises that's real popular too. It's in a way just getting in touch with your own being. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's all part of the connection that you feel, right, with yourself
Yeah,
to start. Yeah. So cool.
absolutely. And if somebody feels very isolated and they don't have people readily available to them,
Mm-hmm.
but they're working on it,
Mm.
you can also connect with your higher power. Personal conversation
Yes.
with that higher power
Yes.
is another way to have connection and
Mm.
nourish the heart.
Mm. Yeah, even with, in connection, like when you hug yourself, you can even feeling that you're connecting with your higher power as well, and your arms like the extension of that, right? So it's all that feeling and manifestation. It's so important, so important.
Yeah. Very important.
Well, so I'm sure folks would like to know how to get in touch with Dr. Singh, so I'm going to share Dr. Singh's contact info. The Center for Energy Medicine, and it's physically located in Joshua Tree, California, and the website is healingenergy.org, and there's the phone number on the screen, email address, as well as the YouTube channel where Dr. Singh has quite some recordings and videos and testimonials in the YouTube channel as well. So please go right to check it out, and feel free to reach out to Dr. Singh. And I understand that you're doing telemedicine these days, Dr. Singh, because of the COVID more and more.
Yeah, I actually started doing it
more.
before COVID, but it definitely lends itself to COVID time as well.
Mm,
Yeah, it, even before COVID, like I was saying, it allows people from all over
right.
to, have some counsel and get what they need. So yeah, it's a wonderful tool.
So what would the patient need to have to be able to do the telemedicine appointment? Do they need to have a Zoom or some sort of mechanism so that you can see them visually, or?
Yeah, Zoom works well, but I've been doing it for years with just the phone.
Oh,
So
good.
Okay, well, there you go.
Good to know. That's a good starting point anyways, right?
Yeah.
exactly.
So we still have a couple minutes. I wonder if there are any more questions from the audience. Did we answer pretty much all the questions? I think we do.
I think so.
Yeah, so I
think-
also want to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Dharam Singh. He's been such an awesome doctor to me. And one question, how do herbs work? Well, that's a big question, Rita.
Yeah, well, the herbs also, as far as the telemedicine, that's a great way to have an herbal consult, is, on the phone or the telemedicine. And how do herbs work? Herbs are really, really amazing. They've been around for thousands of years. I've treated 6 COVID patients to date with herbs. They work by bringing the body back into balance. There's, antibiotic type herbs and antiviral type herbs for, those sort of illnesses respectively. And there's herbs, we talked about the liver. If somebody is depressed or has anger issues, there's herbs that actually balance the energy and make them feel good. Sort of like a herbal Prozac, but it's good for you. And it's bringing things back into balance rather than, masking it and using a Band-Aid. Another way that herbs work with digestion. It's kind of interesting that the organs and the energy has a direction. So the stomach direction is down, right? You eat food, it goes down into your stomach, it goes out through your intestines, right? Through your colon. The spleen energy goes up, and it holds your muscles because it's processing the food. This is a Chinese medical theory. It allows the nutrients to be absorbed so that you have good muscle tone and everything's working properly. When the stomach energy is rebellious stomach chi, right? Instead of it going down, it goes up. So that's acid reflux, that burping. So herbs help to balance that stomach energy, get the chi flowing right. When the spleen energy is going the wrong way, because it wants to go up and hold things up, right? The muscles make everything firm and youthful. If it's not working well, then it goes down. Then you have spleen qi sinking. So that is like diarrhea,
Mm.
different types of prolapses. So by using herbs, then you can get that lift of the spleen, make the spleen strong and healthy, so you're getting your nutrients, get rid of the gas and the bloating that you know, poor digestion can bring.
So once the sort of prognosis is there, you would just send the herbs to the patient, right? So they can, along with
Exactly.
the instructions, so the patients can take it in. And
Yeah, and maybe, you know, tweak some lifestyle,
yep,
some habits
that
and
too,
whatnot.
of course.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for asking,
Thank you.
Rita. We learned a lot more.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dharam. And we've shared so much information that, you know, for those who are listening, just take one idea
Yes,
Yeah,
of what we've
exactly.
talked about today and implement that.
right.
And this particular episode will be available on YouTube in our Town Square Talk channel. So you can go back and play it back and then take one of the other habits that the doctor recommended and just start bringing it more into your life.
Thank you guys for having me on. It's a pleasure working with both of you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you for
Next month is a Women's History Month and Women's International Day. And as we move into March, Pearl and I will be hosting a 90-minute women empowerment panel, and we'll be bringing in women of different backgrounds and just learning more about their stories and empowering and really inspiring us all to take action and really live a big life. So join us in March for our Women Empowerment panel. And you can go to the Town Square Talk Facebook page and learn more about it. Pearl, anything you'd like to share before we close?
Also, the LinkedIn page and Twitter page, we are present on all these on the Instagram as well, on these social media platforms, and it's scheduled on March 24th. Am I correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And same time in terms of the time of the day as the start, we're just going to have 90 minutes instead of 60 minutes for March. I'm so looking forward to it. We'll have a panel of 5 panelists joining us. So yeah, final quote, Kat, for today?
Our final quote is, do something every day that is loving towards your body and gives you the opportunity to enjoy the sensations of your body. This quote is by Golda Peretsky. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you very much. Take care.